Professor Devkota, are you there, sir? Are you there? Can you
Okay,
hear me?
yes.
Okay, thank you,
Yes,
sir.
yes. So do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Mizan. Yeah, and yeah, thank you all. Very warm greetings and very good evening from Nepal. I'm Professor Bhumi from Nepal. So on my personal behalf and on behalf of the Asian Buffalo Association as its president, I'd like to thank the organizer, Order Health Bangladesh, and particularly Dr. Mizanur Rahman for this wonderful opportunity. Also, thanks to Dr. Domenico for a very nice your lecture. Like you have highlighted the buffalo welfare issue in such a way, like I think everyone now realize the value of the welfare issues. So I think as I am representing Asian Buffalo Association this evening here in this meeting, let me first highlight the value of the buffalo in Asian subcontinent, as well as let me, I think, briefly introduce what is Asian Buffalo Association. So, as we know, buffalo is an important livestock commodity of many Asian countries in terms of the food value as well as the economic contribution by buffalo. I think all of us, we know very well Asia inhabits about 92% of the total buffalo population in the world. That includes the best genetics of the buffalo like Murra and Surti from India and Nili Ravi, as it has been mentioned earlier, from Pakistan. And there are so many other good blood types of the buffalo in Asia. So overall, they contribute a lot in terms of food and economy, as I mentioned. Also, in Asia, we have a lot of swamp buffaloes, particularly in the eastern part of Asia. There are so many countries like the agriculture economics highly depend upon buffalo production in those countries as well. So overall, I think due to the food value, as we understand, the milk value of the buffalo, the meat value of the buffalo, and even the draft power of the buffalo, like the animal has become very important to Asian countries. And of course, like this issue of buffalo welfare is always a great issue. And as it has been mentioned, the issue has been realized quite lately, I think, in this region. Although, previously, there was, I think, so many practices like people, they tried their best to make as comfortable as the buffalo production system is. But in fact, because, in Asian subcontinent, buffalo production, particularly, in the developing countries based on the smallholder production system, where the commercialization is still far away. So the issue is quite serious in smallholder system in terms of management, in terms of nutrition, because in terms of management we can see buffaloes mostly in the pasture based free land free range based production system, and they have been offered we can see quite a minimum amount of the concentrate even if they are in production stage, and their kind of the housing and the feeding is not up to the standard as compared to other dairy animals. So this has this has given a kind of great concentration to the welfare workers. I think we should focus on those issues as far as possible. I think in Nepal and in many other countries, what I have seen in my personal experience, as well as based on the several informations we have been receiving, in our places, we have seen the most serious issue of buffalo is the buffalo those go to slaughter, For example, when farmers they send the buffalo for slaughter, we have seen from the point where they collect the buffalo, and the point like where they put the buffalo into the vehicle, into trucks, the way like they give the space, the way they tie up the kind of nose ring, they fix the buffalo, and they even fix the tail of the buffalo, and there are no the resting places, no holding places. They travel quite several hours without feeding, without providing drinking water, and finally when the animals reach to the destination, they are directly put into slaughter. So this is quite a serious issue. I think there are so many reports, particularly the public medias, newspapers. They have highlighted such issues in a broader way. I think this is particularly the very serious issue for the welfare activists, animal welfare activists, for the buffalo welfare activists, as well as for the policy people, for the government people. So I think Dr. Domenico has very rightly pointed out the importance of collaboration. I think this is a very important area. Like, we should work together. The Asian scientists, professionals, those who are working on animal production, buffalo production, as well as buffalo welfare issues, and the countries like European, American countries, where the situation is relatively better than in the Asian countries. So I think we should make networking, collaboration, and we can work together to minimize the serious welfare issues of this kind of innocent animal. Because the traditionally many people, they believe like buffaloes are hardy animals, so that has put them into severe stress. And many people, they believe like they are a very good converter of the poor quality raw fish. Even if farmers, they feed a very poor quality raw fish to the buffalo, they believe that can produce, that can give production. So this kind of traditional thought has put this poor animal into a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, and of course the welfare issues rise from there as well. So that's why this, through this platform, by representing Asian continent as a whole, as the president of Asian Buffalo Association, I would like to request the professionals, the scientists, and I think the policy people, government people are also present today in this meeting. So please let us take this issue very seriously. And if we can protect the important livestock like buffalo in Asia, and if we can improve the production system in terms of welfare issues, I think we can have a better production. We can give more value to this animal, and of course, its economic value will be further raised. So with this, finally, let me again thank the organizer and the presenter today. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. That's all from my side.
Please, Professor Nizam, you should mute. Yeah.
Yes, Domenico, do you want to add anything after Professor Bhumi?
Yes, I think that the situation that you have presented is more or less with different of the level, obviously, but it's the same approach of the farmer in the Italy too. For example, have the idea that buffalo is a very resistant animal. So it's a very defunded convention, but buffalo is not a resistant animal, it's a resilient animal. So they show with very difficulties sufferance. And I totally in accordance with Professor Bhumi, with Rashedul and Hirami that talk, because in the step of the calf, the weaning, we have the major problem for the buffalo breeding system. Buffalo, the calf is very immature compared with cow, having a capacity of ingestion of 1.8 to 2% of the live weight, no more than in substance and in the ingestion, and so have a very difficult to adapt it at a different system that now is represented by the dam. We performed this condition starting 20 years ago, and have now a good system. But one of the most impacting effect on the buffalo farm production is the mortality of calf for pathologies represented principally by enteric pathologies, Salmonella, coli, hemolytic coli, or Mannemia with problem, a respiratory problem, and a problem due to the wrong management of the animal. So the situation is the same in I know the condition in Argentina, in Brazil. More or less, we have the same typology of the process and the same problem with a different level, but the qualitative problem is the same in all the world. So I think that we can done a network to approach with another form, another type of the system thinking on the breeding system of buffalo that have possibility to increase the income of breeder and increase the respect and welfare of the animal.
Okay, thank you, Domenico.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. So now I move to Professor Abdul Samad, sir. So, sir, please. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Mizan. At the outset, I would like to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity, and Dr. Domenico for a very interesting talk. I come from India, which is the major area where you'll find buffaloes, and the best breeds of buffaloes are from India. Probably you all may be aware of the buffalo production system, and as our friend from Pakistan had mentioned, similar system also prevails here. There are certain states which are regarded as breeder states. So they are the one who breed buffaloes, and they have been doing that traditionally. And then there are two kinds of farms. There is one farm which is clustered around urban areas, and those are the intensive farms which do not have land. So they basically depend on all feed input from outside. So they are the one who would have, say, more than 100 buffaloes. And then there are also certain areas where you have an aggregation of number of farms. We call it colonies. And there, you have, let's say, 50,000, 60,000 buffaloes spread over an area. And that was the concept which was developed with the help of New Zealand government. And there, these farms were developed, and then they were also given certain land for, producing fodder. But, that land for producing fodder was very meager. Now, when we go to smallhold system, you have, average 2 to 3 buffaloes. And they are all, basically reared on crop residues and, very little of, concentrate. Now, this idea of, animal welfare is a regulatory area, specifically. And I think the difference between, cow comfort and buffalo comfort and animal welfare or buffalo welfare, the demarcation lies between one is enforced by the government through some legal authorities, and the other is, some practices, which are adopted by the farmer for his own business sake, so that cow remains in comfort, and then it doesn't, suffer from problems in animals as well as loss in productivity. So in India, what has started now is, talking about comfort now. I mean, we are very, very far from, talking welfare. You must differentiate between the, the political and social conditions in Europe and in this part of the country. And that, difficulty, with this part of the country is farmers are a political constituency, and they carry a lot of weightage with the political parties. And they don't like any regulatory function, because once you have a regulatory function, a regulatory authority which is going to put certain conditions, it means investment. And investment, would lead to their, compromise in the, profit, because already the profitability is so low that, if you ask them to, go for certain, mechanizations, climate control and others, then it becomes, very difficult for them to come to a productivity level. So therefore, I think what we should think about is welfare, which is attached to the economics of the farmers. And if we don't do that, then any amount of, regulation you will put, any amount of laws you can pass, the farmers are not going to accept. And for politicians in this part, it is very difficult to implement any law on the farmers, because farmers agitation becomes a very politically sensitive issue for them. So what we are trying to do in India is, so rather than talking about the regulatory functions, what we have started is talking about keep the animals under natural conditions. Okay, so for example, the animals are, these animals, normal social behavior is, they should be in groups. So therefore, we are trying to convince farmers not to tie the animal, because that was a very, conspicuous kind of understanding the farmers had, that buffaloes are mischievous and therefore they cannot be kept loose. They are to be tied forever. So therefore, you are having farms. I think that might be true even in Bangladesh and other countries, where when a buffalo comes, and once it is tied to a particular place, it remains there till it goes out from there to the slaughterhouse. Sometimes, they may have, some, for watering, for giving water, etc. They may give, they may keep it loose for say 10-15 minutes, but otherwise they are always tied. So that we are, trying to convince that, you let them loose, and then farmers are finding, that, this particular practice is helping them. Another welfare, component which we have added here is that, what happened when cows came from Denmark and, Europe and other countries, the housing system was also brought along with them. Now, the climatic conditions in India or in this part of the country is very different than the climatic conditions, in Europe. And therefore, that concept of having, closed brick walls and then, cement concrete floors. Okay, cement concrete floor is used in, other countries, but they put straw or, some kind of, other bedding material, which is not possible in this part of the country. So therefore, that was, creating lots of problems. And therefore, what we started asking farmers is to, go for earth floor, which is well laid, well leveled, and then, you have a good drainage capacity. So with these 2-3 things, we find that, a lot of problems which was earlier attached to, buffaloes, that they remain dirty and that, they have, problems related with mastitis. Recently, if I can take five, 1 or 2 minutes more, recently, we conducted a competition where we invited farmers to submit images of loose housing, where animals are kept loose. It is earthen floor. There are no bricks. There is a limited shaded area. Otherwise, it's full of, trees, etc. And I received from one province around 200 very good, housing models. And then today only, in the morning, we interviewed the farmers to find out, what were the benefits of, going for, such kind of system. And the first thing they said was that we found that the animals are very happy. I mean, that tells me that the welfare of the animal is, being maintained here. So rather than going for artificial houses, where you have mechanization, where you try to control the climate, we keep it in the natural climate under tree, and we find that even if you have a shed which is worth several million rupees, they don't prefer to sit inside the shed. They would go and prefer and sit under the tree. They like the shade of the tree, and that is what very conspicuously farmers said. The second thing they said was that they have not called a vet for treatment since last 1 year because of the cleanliness which is being maintained, the dryness which is being maintained. The cases of mastitis and metritis have gone down drastically. So I think these are some of the issues which is related with the climate and the animal husbandry practices which we should keep in mind. And when we come out with regulatory some kind of norms and standards, these differences should be kept in mind. We should not see that whatever is being done. Well, we may adopt the score. That's fine. But for coming to that score and for calling what is the natural housing conditions, what is the natural climatic conditions under which the animals will be kept. We ask them to keep water which is accessible 24 hours. We ask them to keep feed which is accessible 24 hours. And now they are saying that earlier they were working for 12 hours, and now they are working only for 2 hours. Morning and 2 hours in the evening, and they are able to maintain 30, 40 buffaloes or cows. So that is the kind of system which I think we should be talking about, at least in the initial stages. And based on that, I will be very happy to coordinate with Dr. Domenico and find out if we can develop some kind of welfare index for our climatic conditions, for the smallhold system, where some compromises can be made for mechanization. For example, valuing is not possible because he doesn't have land, and then grazing areas are not there because then it has to be an intensive kind of system where it's going to be put on the crop residues. The body condition score under our nutrition and our nutritional condition, what could be the body condition score which we can say that the animal is comfortable, animal is healthy. That also needs to be looked at. So there are several areas where I think we need to collaborate, and I'm very happy to get connected to Dr. Domenico today, and certainly we would like to be in touch with him because I have access to a very large population of buffaloes. I have my own data recording system which is available commercially. So I have more than 1 million animals which are registered on my platform, and we have access to those farmers. So we can take up these issues step by step, and remember in our part, the economics of the farmers, if you don't keep into consideration, then it's not going to help, because he is not going to spend lots of money and not earning any profit. So that becomes very difficult for him. Secondly, we were talking about mortality, calf mortality, and then calf going out. I know last 3 years I have been studying the livestock census report of the of India, all different provinces, and I was studying the culling pattern and all those things. And I am finding that the farmers are interested in keeping only animals that are there for replacement. And he finds that keeping any excess animal for purpose of slaughter is not giving him enough of profit. That might be very true in this part of the world, in India, because sending any animal to slaughter has got lots of transportation issues, slaughterhouses issue. There are lots of issues. So at least in India, we are finding out that farmers are not interested in keeping excess animals, and farmers are also not interested in keeping calves, because I find that calf rearing by itself requires different skills, and those farmers who are into milking animals, they find it very difficult to find time to rear calves, and calves will get neglected, and then you would have problem of mortality. So one thing in this part of the world we can recommend, and we are encouraging certain farmers to become only calf rearer, so that they can buy calves from these farms who are not interested in rearing the calves, they buy it so that they can have some kind of mechanization. They have some intensification of keeping, say, 200, 300 buffalo calves, and they would, devote themselves only in calf rearing up to heifer stage. So that kind of, intervention, if we do, a lot of these issues then can be sorted out. I again thank Dr. Mizan and Dr. Domenico for giving me this opportunity to address the gathering. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your very, I think, useful comments and